while Julia Hart, a former AEW TBS champion, may be the princess of the Dark Throne now. AEW fans will recall her as a cheerleader with the Varsity Blondes. Fans didn't begin to see Hart's transformation into the person she is today until Malachi Black blasted her face with mist. Hart said in a recent interview with Sports Illustrated that she wanted to take herself more seriously, which is why she decided to join the House of Black. This indicates that she was eager to leave behind her cheerleading roots. "I think I just needed to take myself more seriously," Hart stated. "I believe that because I was a cheerleader throughout high school, that's how we were always perceived. You know, I thought of the cheerleader as an obnoxious preppy girl. It was only the obnoxious preppy gals, but I was never that way. In high school, I always wore loose-fitting clothing and a jacket with a hood over my head, so I never smiled. So I thought the cheerleading thing was completely different. However, it was incredibly difficult for me to be aggressive when I went to AEW because everyone was saying, 'Oh, you're so cute, you're so bubbly, do this, and this.'" Hart clarified that she didn't push herself in a darker direction until she saw what the firm was going to do with the House of Black. She then looked to Wednesday and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Kill Bill, and singers like Stevie Nicks for inspiration. Mercedes Moné's journey in AEW has been anything but straightforward. Since making her big debut almost a year ago, she has faced her fair share of criticisms, obstacles, and challenges. Yet through it all, she has managed to carve out a place for herself as one of the company's biggest stars. Her trajectory is an interesting one, filled with moments of uncertainty, pivotal changes, and eventual triumphs. While some detractors still argue that she's overrated or didn't live up to the hype, the reality is that Mercedes Moné's story is one of resilience, reinvention, and success. To truly understand the importance of her role in AEW, we need to look at her evolution from the very beginning and track how she overcame her early struggles. Let's start with the initial shockwave of her arrival. In March 2024, when Mercedes Moné walked through the door of AEW, it was a major moment for wrestling. She was stepping out of the WWE bubble into a new world, one where the expectations were both high and uncertain. For years, Moné had been a central figure in WWE, a trailblazer in the women's division, but AEW was a different platform, and the challenge of standing out in a company like AEW was daunting. AEW, after all, had prided itself on having one of the most robust, competitive rosters in the industry, particularly for its women's division. So, when Moné arrived, there was an immediate anticipation to see how she would fare, but it didn't take long for the fanbase to start questioning the direction AEW was taking with her. From the outset, Mercedes Moné's first few months in AEW were not easy. One of the biggest challenges she faced was the fact that she wasn't immediately able to wrestle. She was still recovering from a major injury, and that left her in a precarious position. As an active wrestler, your presence in the ring is what solidifies your importance, but Moné was unable to compete physically, and so AEW needed to find ways to keep her relevant while she recovered. Unfortunately, this led to a lot of awkward moments on television. She started cutting these bizarre babyface promos that didn't seem to connect with the audience. The fans, who were eager to see her in the ring, were left frustrated. Instead of witnessing her wrestling prowess, they were subjected to wacky and disjointed promos that made little sense in the larger context of the promotion. The issue wasn't that Moné lacked charisma, it was that her character and her presentation weren't properly developed. Without the physicality of wrestling, there was nothing for the fans to latch onto, and to make matters worse, the babyface persona she was being forced to portray didn't resonate with the audience at all. Fans were confused about why Moné was speaking the way she was, and more importantly, they were perplexed by her lack of in-ring action. The disconnect between what Moné was doing and what fans expected from her was a tough pill to swallow. As time went on, AEW had to rethink its approach. It was clear that Mercedes Moné wasn't working as a babyface. The fans were already booing her, there was no question about that. So, why not turn her into the heel that they were already perceiving her to be? This was a pivotal moment in Moné's AEW journey. Tony Khan and the AEW creative team made a crucial decision to pivot her character into that of a true heel. They took what was already an undercurrent of negative fan reaction and turned it into a fully developed persona. They leaned into the idea that Moné could be a villain, someone that the fans could either love to hate or come to respect. It was the right call, and the results were immediately noticeable. By embracing her heel role, Mercedes Moné began to turn things around. Her promos became sharper, more focused, and infinitely more effective. She wasn't just trying to connect with fans on an emotional level anymore. She was stirring the pot and drawing heat. That's what you want from a heel, a character that fans can't wait to see get their comeuppance, but who also has the chops to back up the heat with solid wrestling. and Moné proved that she had those chops in spades. The key shift here was in her ability to deliver promos that had real bite and to wrestle in a way that made people sit up and take notice. But even after this character shift, there were still challenges to overcome. Her matches, while better, were consistently elevating the talent she was working with. While Moné certainly had great in-ring ability, her early months in AEW were marked by some lackluster performances. She wasn't connecting with her opponents in a way that felt truly special, and that's when her feud with Willow Nightingale became a game-changer. The feud with Willow Nightingale was the moment when everything clicked for Moné. It wasn't just a match or a storyline, it was an opportunity for both women to rise to new levels of prominence. Nightingale, who had always had the potential to be a top-tier talent, was finally given the spotlight in a meaningful feud. Mercedes Moné, for all her faults in the early stages of her AEW run, played a significant role in elevating Nightingale to a higher tier. By putting Willow in the ring with Moné, AEW was able to show the world just how good both of these women could be. This feud marked a turning point in Moné's career in AEW. It wasn't just that she was getting better in the ring, it was that she was finally getting over with the fans. The combination of her solid wrestling and her compelling heel character made her an undeniable presence in the company. And, more importantly, it helped elevate Willow Nightingale to a position of prominence, turning her into a top-tier contender in AEW. This was a victory for both women and a crucial part of Moné's growth as a wrestler and a character. Fast forward to January 2025, and Mercedes Moné is a completely different performer than the one who walked into AEW nearly a year ago. She has learned how to adapt, how to find her footing in a new company, and how to work with the talent around her. The early struggles and missteps are a thing of the past. Moné has successfully reinvented herself as a top-tier heel, and her presence in AEW is undeniable. The Mercedes Moné of 2025 is an entirely different force than the one who first arrived in AEW, and that's what makes her so exciting. However, one question that still looms large in the minds of fans is this: when will Mercedes Moné become AEW Women's Champion? Right now, she holds the TBS Championship, but that title doesn't carry the same prestige as the AEW Women's World Championship. Moné has proven that she's capable of much more, and it's only a matter of time before she makes her move for the top spot in the women's division. But this raises the question, when will AEW pull the trigger on making her the champion? She's certainly deserving, and her ascent to that role feels like an inevitability at this point. Moné's time as TBS champion has been solid, but it's clear that she's capable of much more. The question remains, when will AEW book her to ascend to the highest point in the women's division? When will Moné finally hold the AEW Women's Championship, a title that feels like it's made for a star of her caliber? As of January 2025, it's a question that fans are eagerly waiting to see answered. Mercedes Moné's AEW run hasn't been without its hurdles. She's had to contend with injuries, character shifts, and moments of uncertainty, but through it all, she's emerged as one of the company's biggest stars. She's proven herself time and time again, showing that she has the talent, charisma, and work ethic to succeed at the highest levels. Her future in AEW is bright, and it's clear that she will continue to play a pivotal role in the company's success in the years to come. In the grand scheme of things, Mercedes Moné's journey in AEW has been one of growth and triumph. From the awkward beginnings of her debut to the meteoric rise she's experienced over the past year, Moné has proven herself to be a mainstay in AEW's women's division. She's had to overcome challenges, yes, but she's done so with grace, determination, and a willingness to evolve. AEW should be proud to have her on their roster, and as fans, we should be excited to see where she goes next. Will she become the AEW Women's Champion? Only time will tell, but if her journey so far is any indication, she's more than capable of holding that spot.